This is Baroness Harry and Minion and that, the Canny Scotland News and the Big Lion News, well in conjunction with all damn Scotland's voting. Since the lead up to the 2014 referendum and way before that, like the Tories and Labour, well in conjunction with one up. Anyway, coming up tonight on the chats with Peak Nats, we've got the guy that hosts us is doing a wee chat with an independent woman, hopeful, Hollywood hopeful or something like that. Anyway, that's what's coming up tonight. So hope you don't enjoy it. And there'll be more for us later. In the UK Scotland News tonight, it's Tweed Street, Scotland occupied, the Tweed Street occupied Scotland. They're chat with Nats. It's a politics special. Brian Rennie's not here, not been seen for weeks. Apparently his brother needed him for something, don't know what for. Anyway, on the chat with Nats tonight, it's this forgetting Laura Marshall. Vote Laura Marshall, no, it's Sarah Marshall and I have to go back. Anyway, North East list MSP candidate, an independent, and she's got a wee Albert Hill going there. It's quite nice that. So vote Laura Marshall, May the 6th, 2021, Scottish elections, vote Laura at North East MSP, www.votelaura.scot. Vote Laura Marshall on Facebook. I don't know what that wee icon is, it's a wee camera, but I think that might be Instagram. Vote Laura21. Vote Laura21@gmail.com, and she's also on Twitter at Laura Marshall, Laura Marsh 70. That's how you can get in touch with her or whatever. I'm not really interested because it's not my cup of tea, you know what I mean? Anyway, hope you don't enjoy it. Up tonight on the UK Scotland News, we'll have our new self-proclaimed Scottish history expert, Oliver Allen Ned. Oliver A. Ned. Oliver or Ned, you know what I mean? Where do you get these names for? Anyway, he'll be coming up later to give his take on the history of Scotland, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. Turn that off. Thanks very much. That's us there, and it's now over to him. Turn that off. All over an head. Self-proclaimed Scottish historian. Yes. Brought in the UK Scotland News and the Big Lion News with the Baroness and all that because I don't know stuff. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking to in this chat with Pete Nat. I'm going to be talking to that Laura Marshall to see what her take on the Highland clearances are. Because when I got my qualifications first for Lucky Bag College and then for Monsters University. Yes, great education. Monsters of the Union it was. But anyway, so yeah. So yeah, Highland clearances. My great granny used to always say that there was a story that went with it, you see. So she used to always say that it was like Wild Bill Hickok, like a Western type, well, no Wild Bill Hickok, no. Kill Bill, no. Orange Bill Lovescocks or something like that, I can't remember. But he had like a soup factory, Campbell's it was. Loved the colour orange, but Campbell's soup was tomato, I think. Tomato soup. So they allegedly released a big I don't know, a big tub of soup in the Highland, and it cleared out all the clearances, and people left, and that's why when the sheep were there, they were a wee bit red and things like that. So that was Highland clearances, how they came about. According to my great granny, and all the educational places that I've not really been to, but claim to have been to. But anyway, that's it from Oliver and Ed. Self-proclaimed Scottish story. Hope you don't enjoy this chat with Pete Nats because they're terrible, nasty Nats. Oh. Damn Scotland's bolting. You can't Scotland news and the Big Lion news, one in conjunction with Baroness Harry and Minion. Since way before the lead up to 2014 and the Scottish referendum, and way before that, like the Tories and Labour, I mean, against Scotland, whatever. Anyway, that's with Pete Nats. It's coming up tonight. Baroness is ready to tell you about that. So, it's Laura Marshall that's on the politics space with Laura Marshall, independent local. I mean, so they need to get a wee bit of help. Anyway, she's on, and also we'll have a wee bit of a sports report for his travelling Gypsy Fist King, who's away, but he's back tonight for a wee sports report. I hear the UCAN Scotland news and the Big Lion news. Muppets. Fury's travelling Gypsy Fist King. How he's doing? Just fresh back from my wee title defence and that, you know, still champion. Yep, still champion. Anyway, we're doing a wee sports report. It's not really my bag. It's about the Fratellis are going to be releasing a song for Scotland. Good luck to Scotland, by the way. Don't tell Andy. I hate these fucking bands. Right? But I'm here. On a mission. Right, let's just put it away. I'm on a mission. So anyway, I'm here to talk about the sports report. In the day with Scotland, I'm going to big up because although I'm furious travelling Gypsy Fist King, I still class Scotland as my home, right? So I'm the champion for Scotland, right? Just put it that way. Anyway, we've got these Muppets. So we're talking about the Fratellis are releasing a song for Scotland to fit the theme park next year, and it's Yes for I Can Boogie. I'm meant to be. It's just they're talking that right, but I've already got these bands in here singing Yes sir, we've sang Boogie for the leaders debate next week. We've sang Boogie, Boogie. Right, so actually, yeah, I'm confident. So I've got these guys singing it as a laugh. I mean, we Dougie's not happy. We Doug, we Union Million for Maury, we Doug, or Mike Oxfells. Aye, you know. Anyway, it's Street, Scotland, occupied, and Satirical Saltire are bringing you a politics special, which has Laura Marshall on it. Simon Bridges, JB Whitesnake, talk to Laura Marshall, find out more about her. But I'll be asking her a wee question as well. She's just really a peace-loving kind of a person, so I would like to get her take on, you know, jousting for a sport, you know, like mano type thing. Yeah, offence, but it's like a difference that we've got, so I would like to find her thoughts on it. But good luck, you know. Thanks very much. Welcome to Tweet Street Scotland Occupied. Simon Bridges will be joined today as usual by my co-host JB Whitesnake, and we're doing a politics special and finding out more about Laura Marshall. So thanks very much for joining us. I hope you enjoy it.
This is Tweet Street, Satirical Saltire, broadcasting to you from occupied Scotland.
Hello everyone, welcome to Tweet Street Scotland, Tweet Street Scotland Occupied, Tweet Street Occupied Scotland, whatever you want to call it. I am Simon Bridges, aka Peter. With me, as usual, is my co-host JB Whitesnake. Hi JB, how you doing?
Not bad, Peter. How's yourself?
Excellent as usual, mate. Thanks very much for joining us. And with us today, we have a special guest. It's a political special, John. As you know, we are joined by Laura Marshall, and we're just going to get a wee poster up first, Laura, before we introduce you, just so that we can see who you are and what be the full treatment. So, politics special with Laura Marshall, independent, last independent woman standing, still fully on Tweet Street, Scotland Occupied, Satirical Saltire. would just like to say, first of all, hi, Laura. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. And thank you both for inviting me on to Tweet Street.
Pleasure.
I think all of the Yes Movement should get aware of this very good podcast and two really good tweeters who are often not seen in the constant, how shall I put it politely, twitting and twatting going on Twitter. So.
That was very politely put. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure that you've joined us, as John has already said. I'm going to now hand you over to John to ask you some questions.
Got my shield ready, John. Okay.
That's good. Hopefully we don't get too much interference. We've got the 77th Brigade that always kind of are kicking in with us. Obviously, there's been terrible news about the Duke of Edinburgh just as we're coming on
Yeah,
to do this.
say R.I.P. Prince Philip, but it's the end of an era.
It's the
And,
end of an era. It's sad that there's been a death. However, we pass on our condolences from Tweet Street. Bit of respect as we do. Over to you, John. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Laura, very nice to speak to you. I see a lot of your stuff on Twitter as well, so feelings mutual, and I'll be following you very closely to see how you get on in the future. So, would you like to start by telling us what area you're actually up in and who you're hoping to represent? What area is it you're representing here?
Okay, thank you, John, or JB Whitesnake, as we should call you, because it's what you're known as across the movement. Likewise, everyone on the Yes Movement, 52% of Scotland, have a look at this guy's fantastic memes, please, okay? Before I begin. No, because I've known him for years.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen your memes all the way through, and some of them are really well put together. So
I'm just me with a second-hand iPad.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, I was asked to stand last year, July, August 2020, and I was asked to stand originally on the constituency by constituents of Donside of Aberdeen, where I was living. The seat is already held by an independent MSP, Mark McDonald, who is stepping down.
Right.
And I had kind of said to a group of community people I was willing to stand because people are feeling, well, they were feeling over the last year, very let down by representatives. I then moved in Aberdeen to another area, John, and basically another councillor of the SNP, Jackie Dunbar, stood up, was selected, and as I was no longer in the constituency, I decided, well, I'll just say it straight like it is. I really feel that everyone should be standing in constituency areas from constituencies. I don't think people should be parachuted in. This is what's causing a terrible problem in representation across Scotland, with communities feeling let down. And as I moved area, I basically accepted to stand on the Northeast Regional list. And I made up the Twitter handle, the initial website, web domain, Vote Laura and Laura Marshall blog. This was all registered last August, September, long before any parties were formed.
Excellent.
So I was kind of first woman standing. There are only 5 out of the 25 independents standing in Scotland. Only 5 of them are women. And out of that 5, I am the only yes indie referendum or independent sovereign Scotland leaning representative woman. So that's kind of why I joke about last woman standing in the northeast corner. And it's a slight boxing analogy.
Laura, this is Baroness Harrier Minion, the Canny Scotland News, the Big Lie News, working in conjunction with Odam Scotland's Bolton since way before 2014 run up to the elections, like the Tories and Labour, centuries before. Anyway, you're saying you're for women's rights, but what about safe spaces and stuff like that? I mean, people are saying that I look more like a guy. I mean, I've just been for a makeover and everything. I mean, what about safe spaces and stuff? What's your stance on that, if you don't mind me asking? Thanks very much.
Okay, I'll be straight and to the point. I love your outfit. It is absolutely beautiful.
Thanks,
But-
love, thanks.
But I stand for human rights. I always have, for Catalonia, for Yemen, for Biafra, for West Papua, you name it. I stand for hundreds of human rights. I stand for men's rights, women's rights, and child safeguarding. And there'll be no messing around in this. I've stood for this my entire life. I will put the child safeguarding first, as no candidate seems to be mentioning this. They didn't mention it on the hate crime bill, but as adults, and we, no matter what we wear, what we choose to do or say or joke about with, child safeguarding is paramount. Up until the age of 18, we're in parentis loci or parents. And basically every part of our laws should be reflecting child safeguarding. I'll get on to examples on this.
Laura,
As regards women's
Laura,
rights of women, so
Laura, can I just break character for a wee second and say
I go for it.
absolutely second that, and I'm sure JB thirds it, and everybody else
Definitely.
watching is the same. And back into character. Aye, on you go, Hen. What were you saying? Sorry.
No, basically, I uphold the EQA 210. And if anyone looks at it, I have a poster of the Equality Act of 2010, which I'll be taking around with me. There are 9 protected characteristics, and gender recognized characteristic is protected. Men are protected, women are protected, disability is protected, race is protected, sex is the protected characteristic. And just as I would honor and respect a man's private space, I kind of anticipate the same courtesy towards female sex, private spaces, the right to define ourselves and contribute as half of the population of planet Earth. I have upheld this my entire life. I'm not going to stop now, nor is it just a political soundbite for please vote for me, the sun, moon and stars pledge, and then I'll break it afterwards. I'll be upholding all human rights, and women's rights, children's rights are part of human rights.
That's lovely to hear, Laura. John, over to you, John, for the next question. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
If you're successful to become the MP, what socialist policies would you like to see introduced in Scotland?
Oh my goodness, socialist policies. We're a socialist nation, that's for sure. I grew up in the Thatcher era, born in the 70s. At 9-year-old, we were chanting in the playground, taught by our teachers, Margaret Thatcher, the milk snatcher. We are not going back to that time. Basically, I remember Glasgow. I was at Glasgow Uni. My family's all originally from Glasgow Paisley. My granny was Paisley Woolen Mills. My grandfather worked in Dunlop on my mum's side, Marshall. My great-grandfather was a communist Red Clydesider, and I'm not afraid to say it. He was in Black Friday. So shop steward, very deeply involved. The other side is Macpherson that goes up to the Highlands and this line. Basically, I think once we're independent, before we're independent, we have socialism, socialist principles, which are just a man's a man for all that, equality. And these are ingrained in the DNA of Scotland and Scots. Oh my goodness, we're getting interference.
Yeah, the 77th Brigade. Right, on you go, Laura. Sorry, what were you saying there? Sorry, I don't know what's happened to John.
I personally think, I mean, you must have seen my pledge. If I'm elected, my crowdfunder is the only crowdfunder which says I will pay every single person. It's actually 45 who invested in trying to get me representing people. They'll be paid back. I think personally, the MSPs and MPs' salaries are more than adequate to run their own crowdfunders. I'm into land reform and better distribution of resources, investment, wealth. We need, I don't know if you saw the little TikTok video I did linked on to you about Richards of Aberdeen in the centre. This is a tragedy, honestly, both of you. People look at Aberdeen and they go, oh, the oil capital, the Tory voters. Well, Aberdeen is the energy capital of Europe, that's for sure. Energy, renewables, gas, oil, it's all up here.
But
in the centre,
London's benefited for that, Laura. Thanks very much. London has benefited for that. I mean, they're great.
well, they have. London basically has drained the resources and wealth of Scotland down to Westminster. The taxation on the wonderful oil hidden by the Macron report of 74, after the stock exchanges in Edinburgh and Glasgow were closed down in 73, and we all know about it. It was exposed in 2005 by the Scottish government as the 30-year Secret Act was put on the Macron report. Well, that oil that went down to build London had left our people in poverty in the 1980s and 90s. I remember 80% of Glasgow boarded up in 87, 88 when I was at university. And as kind of Generation X, we swore as we stood at, for example, Queen Margaret Uni, with all of them walking in and out. I remember Tommy Sheridan and the poll tax demos being done, because I was only 19 at the time. We swore at that time we would never let another generation suffer. And that's why I'm willing to kind of stick my head above the parapet now and represent people. And I kind of swear by this shield here, it's not happening again with hydrogen, it's not happening with renewables. We need to have control over the ownership of the assets and resources, control over the taxation. I don't know if you know, but the taxation on the oil, Norway has a 51% base rate taxation. We've let that oil disappear, pollute the planet for minimal taxation. Some of it's down as low as 10, 15%. It could, even if we stopped now in the transition period and put the remaining reserves of oil properly taxed into a wealth fund.
Wealth fund, yeah.
And equivalent to the Norwegian wealth fund, it just accumulates every single day. The 5-year interim platform period, as we build up the renewable energy supply, we would have enough to invest in Scotland 1,000 times over.
Well, you're touching on a big subject there, because the whole issue of oil and that, the amount of tax breaks that Shell are given, BP are given, and it's just basically giving the wealth away to investors and stockholders, and it's criminal what they've done to it, and Scotland's barely benefited out of it at all. As you say, it's been sucked out of Scotland. Billions have been sucked out of Scotland, but it's just so many people are still indifferent or unaware that's actually happened. They're manipulated by the media, and that's my next question to you. How do you view the British media's approach to this current Scottish election? And you're not allowed to swear.
Well, to be honest, from coming at it from an independent MSP candidate, I've had zero media coverage. And you would not, I mean, I can understand they need to focus on the big parties, but it's the same old headlines, it's the same old news,
Divisions.
and sparring and division, divide and rule, negativity. All I would say to the media, and here is my example for them. Remember the 2015 general election, after the indie ref of 2014 and the disappointment. We had an 8-month campaign, and we changed, as the Scottish people, 6 MPs, 6 SNP MPs into 56 out of 59. And we did it on baking fairy cakes and doing auctions. And the media kept telling us it wasn't happening. Well, it did happen. And the media got it wrong, just as they got a lot wrong because if you don't want to listen or portray what's really happening, you're always going to have the rug pulled from under you. I'm kind of hoping this happens with my campaign, but we'll see. Media, I was in Catalonia and the media all interviewed me, 30. Reuters, you were there. RT actually put it on, BBC was there. They all pulled that video of stopping paramilitary violence on 6,000 people. I honestly don't give a damn, to be politely, about the divide and rule lies and strategies of the media. The truth goes on underneath it all.
Laura.
What are you now?
Right. My name's Oliver Aned, right? All over Aned, you know. And I'm the toast guy, you know, the toast guy.
Yeah.
So
Neil all over Scotland.
yeah, I'm Oliver Aned, you know. It's a toned down version, you know, the scarf and that, and yeah, my hair.
Oh no.
Right. I just wanted to, I mean, I was educated at Lucky Bag College. I got my Scottish history degree at Lucky Bag College, and I then graduated to Monsters Union University, where we monstered the Union versatilely and stuff. So I just wanted to get you're from Aberdeen in that, and I just wanted to kind of your take on what's your take on historical the Highland clearances, because mine's is getting challenged a wee bit at the minute. So can you give me your take on it, please, Laura?
I think if I remember rightly, Neil all over Scotland, you said, I think you said that we went off to the new lands, which were already Indigenous lands and lived in. We left because of work opportunities and a wonderful
adventure. That's what it was. That's what he said.
Yeah, well, my family clans were McPhersons. Clooney McPherson was, I'm an 8th McPherson. And if you ask Clooney McPherson, he was one of the staunchest to the Bonnie Prince. He actually, if you know the story, in Clooney McPherson's area in Badenoch and Strathspey, they razed it to the ground, by the way, Neil. They razed the Clooney Castle to the ground.
Oliver, get the name right, Laura. It's Oliver.
Oliver. They shook in. Clooney McPherson hid after the Culloden massacre, and no one turned him in. No one could find him. He also hid the Bonnie Prince because when he heard that they were coming up just before the Battle of Culloden, he was busy planting a row of beech hedges towards the castle that got razed to the ground. And he shook them into the ground. He shook in the saplings and followed the Bonnie Prince up to Culloden. These saplings still grow to this day on from the 1745 in an erratic line. And that's testimony to what really happened in our people.
Okay.
As a McPherson Marshall woman, well, everyone should read Susan Sarandon's book, What Happened, Where Are the Women? She writes about 600 women across Scotland. What happened with the Culloden and the clearances? Well, women were left standing after the massacre of men. And their story is still not written to this day, as they took the boy children from them, as they burnt down the farms. The Scottish women were standing, just as they're standing today, just as they'll always stand. We have no monument yet to the Scottish women and what happened from Culloden to the clearances that took place again and again, all through the later part, the 1700s into the mid-1800s. A book everyone in Scotland should read is by Robert Somers, is his name, Robert Somers, and it's called Letters from the Highlands. It's amazing that it's not on the curriculum for everyone. And it talks of the mid-1800s. Potato famine was taking place in Ireland, but it was also taking place all across the Highlands. and people were dying by the roadside at that point. If anyone left this land for opportunity, they left for a meal, a single thing to eat. There were another one of forgotten women is the ship, the Attica, when it sailed to Devil's Island, Tasmania, Devil's Island. The women who were put on that ship were put on it for stealing a shift off a washing line, a rabbit off an estate, something to eat, something to give the wains to eat, the wee quines and loons up here. And they were shipped off to New Zealand and shipped off to the Devil's Island to become laundry assistants for the younger sons of the aristocracy of England who had already gone out there to take land. This is all recorded. What they actually said about the Scottish Highland women was, and it's quite a sad thing, an English girl would work for her master or mistress because she had been broken into doing it. An Irish girl would work if you would pay her enough to work, but it was always a chance she would run off. The Highland girls that they brought over wouldn't work for love nor money, for they wouldn't be broken in to that way of indentured slavery, to be honest. And many of them ran off and founded some of the colonies that we all know. It's an amazing history if you ever read it.
I've heard a lot of those fables that you mentioned. You know, that's not Scottish history. I make up. However, I'll just pass you back over to JB now, because it appears that I've got cognitive dissonance. Sorry, JB, on you.
Laura, what concerns you? What concerns you about Brexit Britain?
Sorry, can you say again? I was listening to
sorry.
cognitive dissonance.
Sorry, what concerns you about the way Brexit Britain is going?
Oh my goodness. Where are we? We're now in April the 9th. We've got 10 more days to get Scottish people on the electoral register to be able to vote, to avoid a kind of 56% turnout of the last two Scottish elections. And we've had Brexit since the beginning of this year, but to be honest, the plans have been in place and it's been operating since the 31st of January last year. I was down at Holyrood as we did candles round Holyrood for the umpteenth time, when 62% of Scotland voted no Brexit. 62% of the people who voted no Brexit. Well, I'll just raise a smaller voice than my own. I was invited by iAberdeen the Easter weekend out to Wellington Bridge, aptly named, to see the Bridges for Indy flags of the Yes movement. iAberdeen, a shout out to you on the podcast, because the people of that group are there, rain, hail and shine, and it's normally hail, standing there waving flags and handing out the Business for Scotland and Believe in Scotland information to everyone who walks the bridge between Aberdeen and Torry. And of course, I'm a Yes independent candidate. I will go with the Yes movement to any hustings they organise. It was an open Q&A hustings, and it was...
Laura, sorry to interrupt you there. Right, listen, this is Fury's travelling Gypsy First King here. I've just got a wee break through the ring here. I just want to say I'm a big fan of yours, right? I know that you're a peace-loving woman. Your video on Twitter shows that, and it gave me great respect for you. I like a wee bit of mano-mano contact. I know we don't all of us agree on everything, but what's your thoughts on fighting for sport, so to speak? See, it's a mano-mano thing rather than the fighting as in to harm people. What's your thoughts, please?
Oh, by all means, go off and have a punch-up in a sport boxing ring and get all that testosterone energy out, but keep women's boxing for women and men's boxing for men. I agree. Sport is a fantastic way to get energy involved in, kind of get the anger, the energy out. and then you do peace, full stop. Peace activism. Catalonia has been a learning curve in how to do peace.
That's a bell.
So
That's a bell for me, Laura. I need to get back in the ring. Thank you so much.
I'll
Respect
go
for all-
back and answer about Brexit because
Right,
it's not finished.
respect
yet,
for
okay?
all what you do, and my support
Okay,
will
here's the
follow
deal.
as always. Right,
Have a
thank
wee
you,
box
Laura.
at the shoe.
Thank you. I need to go.
He's
Sorry,
hilarious.
guys, man.
No,
isn't it?
just to finish on Brexit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll raise the question. You asked me what to think about Brexit. What does Bill Murphy and Chris, who works in the butcher trade on Aberdeen Bridge, think of Brexit? Well, Bill asked me a question that anytime I get interviewed, could I raise it up for people? We all saw the graph of our exports from Scotland, down between 18 and 80% across all sectors, across the food, across energy, across everything. They work in Aberdeen Angus beef. He said, not such a problem. There's a huge UK market, so it's holding up. Bill asked about Peterhead, because Peterhead, or Peterhead as it's called up here if you're from the Blue Toon, Peterhead has the packaging, fish packing plant, which looks like it's going to go to the Norwegians. Aberdeen is decimated, guys. Or loons, I should say. We have Debenhams closed. We have John Lewis closed. And they just said 2 days ago, Disneyland up in the centre at the Bonaccord, near the John Lewis, is closed. It's like a ghost town. It's dead. Peterhead, the fishing exports are down 80%. And Bill wants every candidate asked about that. How are they going to deal with it? What are we going to do? Because in the interim of pledges and promises, there are actual communities suffering now, really, really suffering. And it's not good enough to just make a vow. Scotland has had it up to here with vows, 300 years of broken vows. We want solutions, and we want people involved in these solutions. I believe we're all sovereign and equal. You're sovereign, I'm sovereign, every Jock Thompson's Bairn's sovereign. You need to start letting people provide the solutions. The answers lie downstream, not upstream, where they've kind of failed over many, many centuries in providing solutions. And then we can get on to things like flying off to Mars and doing all the other things.
Right. Well, Laura, on that note, Laura, I'm going to draw you back in a wee bit before you take off. It's back to myself now. I know we got a wee bit of interference there. I don't know who came in and what was happening, guys. I'll catch it all in the edit. It's that time again where we need to do the end of the podcast. So, with my greatest thanks, as always, to my co-host JB Whitesnake. Most respect in the world to Laura Marshall. Laura, you're doing a wonderful, wonderful thing. Keep doing it. We'll keep on promoting you as we can. Anytime we see any of your work, we will retweet it. We will say good things about you. Wish you all the best. And just
wish you all the very best.
Just before you go, JB, if you want to say something, I'm going to do a wee screen share. On you go.
Yeah. No, Laura, you're a very effervescent character, and that absolutely shines through. Oh, there. And just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that we get you in there, because we need some fresh faces in there, and people that have got passion in their heart for Scotland and Scotland's people, and that's lacking there. So if we get you in there, that would be superb. And you speak from the heart, and that impresses more than anything. We're fed up with politicians who are identity kit. They're in it for the job, they're in it for the living, whatever. But I would love to see more people like yourself in there doing it for the people with passion in their heart, because we're sadly lacking that. And we wish you the very, very best, and we'll be following you and supporting you all the way.
Laura, over to you for the final words.
Okay, final words, short and sweet. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank the people of Scotland, of the Northeast region, and all over where we walked on the 500-mile walk. I'll link you in. Thank you all for asking me to stand. I'm doing my best. It's not easy as an independent candidate, that's for sure. You're a one-woman band in this case doing it. I have a lovely team whom I'd also like to thank, who are going out this weekend, and Yvonne Methvin down in Lawrencekirk, who is my election agent helping, and Bruce the dog, Bonnie King Bruce, as we're calling him.
Well,
With a
thank
little-
you.
I would like to run a positive campaign. So I'm
Good.
not getting into discussing all the sparring that's going on. There's room for every candidate to get in
There is.
if you
Yes.
focus. I'm not just focused on, up here it's 137,000 votes, brought in 0 candidates, yes votes. Partly because of a very complicated, unnecessarily complicated system. But I'm also aiming at the disenfranchised people who aren't even registered to vote yet. We had an 84% turnout in our independence referendum of 2014. We, the Scots, should be proud of that. It was
Yes.
one of the highest turnouts in the world. And it
Yeah.
was because we wanted change. We desperately hoped for a different way of doing things. Let's get back to that spirit of 2014 and get real change. I believe in the ripple effect. I'm the stone. If I get in that parliament, I'll make a ripple.
Well,
Good
that's
for you.
a perfect message to leave it on. Thank you very much, Laura Marshall. Thank you very much, everybody, for
Thank you.
watching, for tuning in. But all at Tweet Street, we wish you all the best sincerely. And we will champion you every opportunity we get, Laura. Good luck from us.
Thank you.
This is Tweet Street, satirical saltire, broadcasting to you from occupied Scotland.
This is Baroness Adrian Minion, the Can of Scotland News and Big Line News. And we're doing a wee bit of the chat with Pete Nat tonight, and it's Tweet Street, Scotland Occupied presents Cinnamon Bridges, TB Whitesnake, Laura Marshall, Satirical Saltire, Scottish Independence. No, that last one, we don't want that. Politics special. Don't forget Laura Marshall, the last independent woman standing. So fully on hashtag Tweet Street Scotland Occupied. Don't know what that means. Don't know, didn't write it. Yeah, I did actually, but didn't mean. Hashtag Satirical Saltire. It's featuring Baroness Adrian Minion. Me? Alright. I'm a picture on that. Union Minion for Murray, we dug. Oh, we dug. Anyway, the Fratellis have got to release a new song for Scotland got the Euros. Yes, sir, I can boogie. We've got my own version here in the studio, and it's yes, sir, we've sacked Dougie, and we're replacing him for the leaders to be. We sacked Dougie, oh Dougie, we've sacked you. But it is like that. So that's what's happening. I know I don't know if there are confusion. And you can't Scotland News. That's who's paying me my dark money. And Glen News. Oh, that's who pays all damn Scotland Bolton has dark money. Funny that. So it's vote Laura Marshall. Independent North East List. That's all of it. Right. Anyway, thanks very much. That's it for the Canny Scotland News, the Big Line News, Baroness Adrian Minion, all down Scotland Bolton, all over on Ed, Who's Travelling Gypsy Fist King, Patsy Peak Nuts, TB Whitesnake, Cinnamon Bridges, and of course Laura Marshall. And we still need to say good luck to Laura Marshall, even though we don't really mean it. But good luck, Laura Marshall. Good night, Scotland.
This is Tweet Street, satirical saltire, broadcasting to you from occupied Scotland.
Oh, that's nasty stuff. I can't go. Can't go. Can't go. I need to vet it. All right.